Hello everybody, welcome back to Value of the Mist Block of the Month. I'm Adriane Ritter.
And I'm Shelley McNeely.
And we are here with our February 2026 Block of the Month. And this flower for this month is the Pinwheel Flower. So Shelley's going to go over some fabrics with you. And why don't you start with our focus fabric?
Right, so if you're going to turn in a block for the drawing at the meeting, you need to use this particular focus fabric, which is Banyan Batiks Kaleidoscope Lime, which will sell fat quarters at the meeting. If you're making these and not turning them in, you can use whatever fabrics you want in your blocks.
And you get to decide, like the focus fabric, where it goes. We're not telling you that.
Right.
But I will say, Shelley and I generally used it for either a flower center, leaves, stem, something like that. And one fat quarter was enough to make 2 of each of the blocks for the year.
Right. Otherwise, you can use whatever colors you want, anywhere you want.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so what, now, I will say that some of these background pieces are kind of obscure little ones. So we will go over in detail exactly where they go on the block later. Shelley's just going to give you the sizes of what you need to cut right now.
Right. Okay, so from the background, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 2 inches by 1 inch, and 1 piece that's 2 by 1.5, 3 that are 2-inch squares, 1 that is 2 by 3 inches, 2 that are 2 by 3.5, 5 2.5-inch squares, 1 2.5 by 3.5, 1 2.5 by 4, 1 3 by 3.5, and 2 3.25 by 12.5. And then we're going to have 2 colors for flowers. Flower color 1, you need 4 2.5-inch squares. And flower color 2, you need 2 2.5-inch squares.
Can I interject something here? Whatever colors you pick are fine, but I think to get the pinwheel look, you probably want them to contrast a fair amount.
Yeah.
But it's up to you. It's totally up to you.
Right. And then for the leaves, you need 3 2.5-inch squares. And then for the stem, you need 1 piece that is 1 by 7.5. And
that's
okay, that's all we need.
Okay. So this is pretty much how we're going to do it this year. We're going to start by making any little sub pieces this year, whether it's half square triangles or whatever. So we're going to start today with making half square triangles. And for that, you're going to use all of your 2.5-inch squares. So there were background pieces, flower 1, flower 2, and leaf pieces. Right. And so I was going to go over first the background, the process of making a half square triangle. And oh, you didn't bring up your, oh, you did. Oh, okay. So Shelley and I have different methods of doing this, but basically we usually say the lighter fabric because generally you can mark it and see it well. But it's whatever you're marking. If you have a yellow marker, you can mark on black and see it well. So it doesn't matter. It's just however you're going to mark it. But you're going to mark a diagonal line on one fabric of each pair.
Okay. Or I mark on either side of the diagonal 1/4 inch and then sew on the lines I draw.
Right. So mine is just an indicator of where to draw, where to put a 1/4 inch seam away from my line, and she's going to sew on her line. Okay. Then after you do that sewing on both sides of the line of each of the pieces, which we'll go over in a minute, you cut on the diagonal. She doesn't have a line. You just cut on the diagonal of the block. And then, so on mine, it's kind of hard to see, but you would then have a piece that has sewn lines on either side, and there was a drawn line there. And then after I cut them apart, I'm going to press open my seam like this. And I'm going to end up with a slightly smaller square than what we started with, obviously, which will have these little flag pieces on the corner. And the part here that I wanted to make sure everyone got, because I didn't go over it very well last month, is the first cut you're going to make when you trim is you're going to trim off. You're just going to put your the diagonal line of the block right on the 45-degree line of your ruler. So you need a ruler with a 45-degree line.
Yeah, that's important.
And make sure that whatever size it is, that it's bigger at this point than what we told you needed it to be for the final size.
Right.
So in this case, we're going to trim all of these to 2-inch squares. And so my block is just like 1/8 of an inch bigger than I need, plus these little flag things. So my first cut, I'm going to trim these 2 corners and take off these little flags and just straighten out that edge. Then I'm going to turn the block around, and then I'm going to line up this bottom corner that I just trimmed on my 2-inch mark here. And everything that sticks out above it, that I'm going to trim off too. And then I have a beautiful trimmed half square triangle like this one. That's 2 inches square. So the one thing that we want to mention is if you go to measure that and it's too little, then at that point you really need to check your 1/4 inch seam. But the way to fix it is either check to make sure you cut the pieces the right size. If you didn't, you got to redo that. If you
Because our pieces are actually oversized.
yeah, our pieces are slightly oversized. They're 1/8 of an inch bigger than what we're told, and that just is to give you a chance to mess up a little bit and then still be able to trim them. So if you cut in the right size and it's still too little, you can take out that center seam and sew a smaller seam, or you can start over. Those are kind of the 2 choices.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Another thing, before we were talking about doing all this measuring and stuff.
Oh yeah, actually show with one of these pieces of fabric.
We acquired these boards.
A friend, yeah.
I think they use an applique more or something. It works well with small pieces of fabric because the fabric will stick. This is actually sandpaper that's been glued onto a board or a piece of cardboard.
I think, yeah, you can glue it to anything. I think the person who made these for us took little tiny canvases that you can buy like at a craft store and put sandpaper on. It's funny because we've gotten 2 of them and the sandpaper was applied to different sides each time. So it doesn't really matter.
No.
But you want kind of a fine grit.
Right, because it sticks better.
Sandpaper.
And it makes it easier because it won't move around while you're trying to mark it. And you can actually turn this little board around and mark another place.
So you put it on here and then you take your ruler, put it on the diagonal, draw the line. I will say that sometimes I have a hard time getting them back off because they really stick good. So if you turn it over, it comes off, or I use my little purple thing.
And one reason why we're mentioning this, we're going to be using smaller squares than this in some other months. So
and they are hard to hold on to. So this sandpaper board is very helpful.
If you have another thing that you think works well, good. But they are slippery if you're just doing it on your table or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So now we have made all of our half square triangles, and we do really recommend that you use some kind of design board, maybe like this, that you can arrange all the pieces of the block on. Now, I obviously don't have all my pieces on there because I haven't made all of my pieces. But this block is not hard at all. But keeping track of the placement of some of these little pieces can be tricky if you don't lay them out.
Right.
So
because some of them are similar sizes and all.
So if you look at the final block like this, and then look at your pieces, you can see where they go. But we are going to go over it also as we go along.
Right.
So now what we're going to proceed to do is sew together the leaf section, part of the leaf section of the block.
Okay.
And Shelley has that on a separate board.
Okay, so the stem is here just for reference at this point. We're going to be sewing this side and this side. Just make 2 pieces. They're like mirror images of each other. And we're going to sew the columns together. So you just sew this half square triangle piece to this white piece, and these 3 pieces together, Same thing
Yeah,
on
so
the
no,
other
no,
side.
let's just, yeah, so we're going to sew, you're going to sew these two together and then those three, press them in between,
Right.
and generally you'd press them open. And then you're going to sew the two pieces together.
Right.
And the other side, like Shelley said, is the exact same thing, just mirrored. So
If you have it laid out correctly and you're watching what you're doing, you should have no trouble doing this. I mean, it's just a few pieces.
okay,
There.
so that's all we're going to do at this point. We're going to come back with those pieces sewn together,
Right.
and sitting there next to that lonely little stem.
Yeah, because we need more to add on before
Yeah.
we can add the stem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Shelley opted not to cut the stem in two to
Yeah.
make it. So we have to put the top. We have to put the top portion on these leaves before we can sew it all together.
yeah.
So all right, so
Right.
we'll be back. Okay, we forgot. We're back. We just stopped and I realized, wait, we didn't tell you how to match the half square triangles. So Shelley, let's go over that.
Okay.
So we'll go over again one more time how to do the other part, but let's match these half square triangles
Okay,
first.
so they're all the 2.5-inch squares, and there's 5 background 2.5-inch squares, and you take 3 of those and you match them with the 3 leaf 2.5-inch squares. Then you take the last 2 of the background ones and match them with flower 1. 2 of the 4 flower 1 pieces, and then you take the last 2 of the flower 1s and match them with the 2 flower 2s.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah, so the easy way is to think, match up your background pieces first.
Yes.
So 3 go with leaves, 2 go with whatever flower 1 you have 4 pieces of. And then you have 2 left of each of the flower pieces and you match those together.
Right.
So you don't have to think about flower 1 and flower 2, you just have to think, how many pieces do I have?
Well, that's true.
Okay, so you're going to make those half square triangles, trim them.
To
To
2
be honest, the
inches.
flower parts we don't even need right now. We just need your leaves.
Right.
And then you're going to, like we said, you're going to sew together. You're going to lay out these leaf parts. You're going to sew this, this 3 section here and this 2 section here. I'm going to column, press them, sew them together. And then you go to the other side and you're going to do the same thing, but it's reversed. And so you're going to end up with this section, your stem. And we'll be back. All right, so we have part of our leaf section made and we're going to finish that now. And what are we going to do that?
Okay, we're going to need to sew a piece to the top on the left side, and that piece is
3.5 by 3 inches. And then, and if you want to at this point, you can sew that to the left side of the stem.
Absolutely.
Sew that on there.
Okay.
Now you've got your other bottom part of the stem, but we've got to complete the top part. And to do that, you need one of your flower half square triangles, one of your flower 1 and background. And to the bottom of that, you're going to sew a 2
by 1.5
inch piece of background.
Right.
Press that, and then to that,
So a piece that's 2 by 3 to the right side of that.
and then once that's together, you're going to sew that to the top of that
Right.
stem leaf piece, and then sew that to the other side of the stem.
So this whole section, when we come back, should be together.
And what size will that be?
That will be 7 by 7.5.
Okay, so we're going to come back and have that section done and start working on our flowers,
Right.
the rest of our flowers, because we actually
Barely started.
put a little bit of flour.
Yes.
All right. That wasn't too painful, was it? Now we have this wonderful leaf section all done. Now, Shelley, let's work on these flowers. What are we
Okay.
going to do now?
Okay, you can see where there's the flower 1 and flower 2 pieces are. There's 3 here, these 3 here. Nope, I'm sorry, putting the wrong ones. These 3 here. This one looks a little different through me.
Yeah, it's more orange and
Yeah,
green.
this one, and this one, and this one. These 2, where they're the flower 1 and flower 2 together, and they're next to one where it's flower 1 and background.
And
There's
they
3
kind of make a
places.
big triangle of that flower 1 fabric.
Right. So
Maybe it's more obvious on my blue. See right here where the 2 blues hit and there and there.
right. Ignore this one for right now, the one here. Sew these together.
Those
all we're doing.
3 pairs.
So it's just 3 pairs together.
Yeah, it's the same. They're the same 3 pairs.
Right.
So, yeah.
They
so,
should look exactly the same when you're done.
Yeah. So sew those together, press them open, put them back on your board, and then we will proceed. All right, we're moving along. I do want to caution you not to do as I do. Now Shelley is very methodical. She picks up the 2 pieces next to each other, holds on to the side that needs to be sewn, sews it, and then gets the next one. I try to get all 3, and of course I sewed the wrong side together.
Because if you accidentally turn it, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, or if you forget, oh, I know which side it'll be.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend, if you're going to pick them up, clip them as you pick them up. Clip the side that you need to sew, and you'll remember. I mean, because there's 2 ways it can go with to have those making that triangle.
Right.
Okay, so everything is good now, but let's deconfuse this a little more, Shelley. Can we get rid of some of those little white background pieces?
We're trying to make it so we get pieces get a little bigger, but not confuse you in how to put them together. Okay, so now you're going to take 2 of these pieces that we just put together that look exactly the same, and sew this piece that's 1 by 2 to the side. It's on the side where the white is, or the background is. And one sits here, one sits here, but when you're done, they're going to look exactly the same.
Okay, and then after you do that, we're going to get rid of this other little background piece, which is the same size as one of our squares. So it's the background that's 2 by 2, and you're going to sew it to the back of that lonely piece of flower that we hadn't sewn anything to yet.
Right.
And then we will come back and we'll be pretty close to ready to finishing assembling this flower,
Right.
I think.
Yes.
All right, so these are starting to come together as a flower. I know it looks funny on our boards because we only have half of the flower up there, but we do have a reason for that. Okay, so say all those pieces were up there. Shelley's got her 1/2 that I don't have up there, and I have the other half. Okay, so the next thing we want you to do is on this right side of your flower, we want you to sew these 3 together in a column and press them, and then put it up there, and so it'll look a lot like that. Okay. There's magic.
I know.
Okay, so now Shelley has on her side, we're going to sew these 2 pieces together to make a piece that's the same size as this one down below. So we're going to sew those together, press, sew the bottom on, and then you'll end up with a piece that looks like this. Now, we're going to take all those 2 pieces and we're going to sew them together.
Yeah.
Down the center.
Right.
And we will have
a piece.
Oh, we'll have a big flower piece,
And
which we are going to sew to the stem.
Okay, but wait a minute. The size of this.
Oh, before we sew it on?
Yeah, we do have a size for this part. It's 7 by 5.5.
Okay, so after you sew those 2 sections together, measure it 7 by 5.5, and then you're going to sew that to the bottom stem, and then we will come back.
Now, obviously, that should be 7 by 12.5.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Okay, the home stretch. What do we got left to do, Shelley?
we just sew on the sides. We
Okay.
already have a flower.
Yeah, we just need to get it to 12.5 by 12.5.
That's right. So,
Okay, so just sew those 2 giant pieces that were 3.5 by 12.5 inches to the sides of the block, left and right sides, and we'll be back.
right.
All right, there's our flower, our pinwheel flower.
Right.
So Shelley, I'm not sure what part of the country these pinwheel flowers.
I don't know where yours came from at all.
The blue and pink.
Well, even
I
mine.
think it's an alpine.
Even mine is like, yeah. And I know you probably think we're being complicated, but it has to look like a flower. So, you know,
Right.
that's
Even
what
though
happens.
I don't know that this is really.
I know.
It is a quilting flower,
I
but
know.
it isn't. The rest of our flowers,
We
they
are
so realistic. You are going to think they're photos.
Even there, some of them are gigantic, but
We already talked about that. Okay. All right. So that's our pinwheel flower, and have fun making it. We did try to break it down to get rid of some of those extra pieces and make it less complicated. But there you go.
Sometimes you can't. Yeah.
No, when we were sewing it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
totally we did.
Yes. Okay. So we will see you back here next month.